Hello fans, and welcome again to another power-packed Punch-Out on Grudge match, the show that finally pits all your favorite comic characters from opposite ends of the comic worlds against one another to see who comes out on top of the heap. Today's match sees those characters who perfectly fuse man and machine going chrome-plated head-to-head. From Marvel, it's the reanimated Robo-Soldier Deathlok, and from DC, Titan-turned-Justice Leaguer Cyborg. Both of these characters have very similar origin stories, as well as very similar power sets, which makes them ripe for comparison. Starting with Deathlok first, the first Deathlok, Luther Manning, was created in 1974, and though a few different versions of the character have existed, Luther Manning was the most prominent version of Deathlok, the most recent version of Deathlok being a man named Michael Collins. But both have essentially had the same look, abilities, and power sets. And the Deathlok program was originally created by a man named Harlan Riker, and it was designed to be able to create cyborg super soldiers, and though it hasn't been used a lot in the Marvel Universe, it has been used a few times to fairly good effect. Everybody who's been imbued with the Deathlok abilities has gained super strength that has varied wildly. At its original creation, Deathlok could only lift about 2 tons. He's been seen at times, more recently, lifting up to 85 tons, so he has a big divide in what his strength level could be, but it could be anywhere up to 85 tons. Enhanced durability, as is granted by having a body that is primarily made out of metal and body armor. Enhanced speed, reflexes, agility, as well as having a computer merged into his brain and carrying a wide variety of high-grade weaponry. Because Deathlok is primarily created to be a soldier, he has access to lots of guns, explosives, and high-grade weaponry that the military would often use. Cyborg, real name Victor Stone, originally created in 1980, was an athlete who was gravely injured, and his father, Silas Stone, was a doctor working at Star Labs and used his position and authority to graft prosthetic body parts onto his son in an effort to save his life, eventually making him more machine than man, but it did save his life and granted him many of the same abilities that Deathlok has, including superhuman strength. His tops out generally around 20 tons. Also, enhanced durability as provided by a mostly mechanical body, enhanced speed and reflexes, and also with a computer merge brain. He also, like Deathlok, has high-grade weaponry, but his is integrated directly into his body. He has built various weaponry directly into his body systems, and that includes a white noise sonic cannon, tasers, grappling hooks, lasers, and virtually any kind of technological weaponry that he can build into his system. He can take off body parts, reattach new ones, and constantly upgrade himself. Now, both of these characters do have part of their brain removed and replaced by a high-speed computer, and that does allow both of them to interface with computer systems remotely or by plugging directly into them, hack computer systems, mentally search the internet, as well as download, process, and store tons and tons of information that they pull right out of different computer systems. However, they have a slight difference in how that computer brain interacts with their biological brain. For Cyborg, the computer brain is fully integrated with his human brain, meaning he has instant control over it, instant access to the knowledge that it stores, and it's basically just like his own brain got an upgrade when it got merged with the computer portion of it. That's exactly the case for Deathlok. Deathlok generally has a dual brain system. He has his human brain, and then he has the computer brain, and they often have to talk back and forth to one another in order to coordinate their plans and get the job done. So where many of these two characters' powers are virtually the same, where they diverge a little bit is that Deathlok comes in with a greater potential for superhuman strength, a greater access to high-grade, military-grade weaponry and equipment, and as well having soldier training as he was a soldier before he became Deathlok, and then further military training after becoming Deathlok. But Cyborg comes into this fight with integrated onboard weaponry that he can constantly upgrade and keep adding new systems to himself, the backing of Star Labs, the most advanced and high-tech research facility in the DC Universe, and a merged computer brain which provides instant access to knowledge and computer interfacing without having a split dual consciousness to muddy the waters. So having examined the powers and abilities of these two characters, it's time now to determine who would win if they were to ever collide. That winner is going to be Cyborg. The newest core member of the Justice League takes home the win in this grudge match. Cyborg's built-in weaponry does definitely give him an edge, as Deathlok can always be disarmed in one way or another. Either he could run out of bullets in his guns, or could just flat out have them knocked out of his hand, and once he is divorced from his weaponry, all he has left are his physical abilities, which are substantial, true, but you can be as strong as you want, but you have to get in close enough to punch somebody. And if Cyborg is blasting you with his white noise cannon from across the room, it becomes a little difficult to make that happen. As well as the computer merge brain gives Cyborg instant access to high levels of information and computer interfacing virtually instantly, whereas Deathlok does have to converse with the computer half of his brain, and that will just, if nothing else, take a little longer to get a battle strategy formulated. Whereas that's not going to be the case for Cyborg. It is instant access to that kind of information and knowledge. So he can scan and deduce any weaknesses in Deathlok instantly, formulate a battle strategy within seconds or even nanoseconds. Deathlok is going to take a little longer to do that. So that gives Cyborg the advantage. He'll be able to attack Deathlok quicker, and he'll always have his weaponry built right into his system. Cannot be knocked away from him the way it can for Deathlok. So Cyborg, the Justice League, and the DC Universe are taking home the win in this grudge match. Message me down below, let me know what you think of the outcome of this fight, and as always, any suggestions for upcoming episodes. We'll see you next time on the next edition of Grudge Match.